Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Netflix's new original German movie, The Perfumer or Perfumier. Let me know in the comments below, have you ever even heard of this film? Are you going to check it out? What is your kind of inclination as to sensory movies? What is the best one? Let's jump in. Firstly, I should talk about the dubbing. The dubbing is fine. It's not great. If you're one of those people that can't handle watching movies in subtitles, then the dubbing will work, but you do lose a lot of the subtle nuances that goes into making a film like this, especially a film that you kind of need to watch, because if you miss a bit, you feel like you've missed a bit of the story, because there's a lot going on. They do lots of exposition and explaining, and not just that, they do kind of jump to scenes where nothing's going on or nothing's spoken with dialogue, but they're showcasing what's going on. So there's exposition and then there's physical showing, and so if you're not watching, you can miss it. And you're probably like, well, who watches a film without watching? I think lots of us these days, we put on a film just to kind of bide our time, maybe to watching dinner, or just while we're watching dinner, we're having a conversation with our loved ones, we stick something on we might not be that interested in. This isn't one of those that you can't pay attention to, you kind of have to. A perfumer named Dorian is obsessed with the science behind a sense of smell and thinks he can create the formula of the human soul. On his journey for this formula, he makes a type of love potion by accident. This is where our female protagonist, our detective, crosses paths with our perfumer. She is also obsessed with smell because she can't smell, and she desperately wants to get her sense of smell back, which is how these two stories kind of interact or interconnect. The film has one of the strangest training montages I've ever seen. Like, in order to get your sense of smell back, you need to do all of these things, and part of those things is, because it's a sensory film to do with smell, I'm going to inundate you with things that have tangible smells to it. If you think about opening a new book, that has a smell. If you think about throwing yourself into a vat of fish that have just been caught, and you're lying them and you're swirling about like the aliens part in Alien Resurrection, where Ridley is kind of in amongst the aliens and she's squirming about. What smell do those associate with, or just the pictures associate that with? That is the kind of training montage, and it's one of the weirdest I've ever seen. Interesting, but it kind of gives you an idea what this film is going to do. It's only an hour and a half long and does feel like it stays out its welcome. And what I mean by that is, by the time you get to the end of the film, you wish the film had ended. There's continuity issues. There's a moment where the detective drops her gun, you hear a big clang on the floor. The next scene, she has her gun again, never showing us how she got her gun back. Now, of course, she could have gone back, but in that moment, that was not told to us. The film also does this weird thing of the protagonist narrating the movie to her child that is unborn, and we are that child, I guess, because she's kind of telling us the story. So whenever there's a story movement or a plot or some exposition that we need to know of the story, she kind of narrates it in a very kind of airy-fairy way, because it is a very artsy film. It does look fantastically. It's wonderfully shot, wonderfully edited, but at the same time, I do wonder if we could have shaved down some of that and had a bit of more pacing. It's definitely a slow burn film. It's not going to be for everyone. In fact, I think it's only going to be for a select few that really kind of love this type of genre, erotic thriller-esque, with a classic detective noir case that is sometimes just forgotten about and sometimes brought back into it. There's also a third protagonist here, the sister of the perfumer, who I really like as a character, but we don't get enough backstory for us to understand why she is crazy. She's just crazy for the sake of the story, making her crazy. I would have liked to see more of this character because I thought she was interesting, but there's no real reason to even have her apart from being that crazy sister. Now, when we have the perfumer, we get some backstory, not a lot, but we get enough for us to understand why he is the way he is. We spend most of our backstory building our protagonist, understanding how she lost her sense of smell, and then kind of smashing those two worlds together and seeing how she reacts once she goes on that journey, once he goes on that journey of trying to discover what is the human scent for a soul, and she discovers what is the human scent for love and rediscovering kind of smells. It is a journey on both of these two characters that we as a fly on the wall get to discover or go on that adventure. Adventure is a loose term. Go on that story that the film forces us to go on. And the way they show that is through a selection of artsy cutaways, slightly noir detective clips, which is an interesting combination. It is also a combination that both complements the story and the viewer's experience. It has a few sex scenes in this as well, as you'd expect from this type of film. It's not massively raunchy, but does seem to be necessary in this film if that's the type of film you're making. There is also moments that are unbelievable in the rules created within the film's universe. Our perfumer seems to be able to sense things spiritually miles away. He knows what's happening more than just the his sixth sense of smell. It's an extra sense, a sixth sense, and that is never explained. It just is. So in the world of the rules of the sensory senses, who have heightened senses and are able to smell amazing things, they just set up things that are unbelievable, and there are moments that took me out of the film of what they were trying to create, and it's like, yeah, I didn't buy that, not for a moment. So all in all, I was kind of disappointed with this movie. The way it looks, the way it's edited, the way it's shot is all good, the acting is great, but because of the pacing and the slowness of the slow burn of the film, it feels like it outstays its welcome. It doesn't get to the point quick enough for you to be invested, and when we get to the crux or the circumnavigation of the story, because there's multiple tangents that they go on that never really wrap up properly, but when we do get to our ending, it's an anticlimax. We get there and it's like, oh, it's ended now. There is a proper ending, but it still just leaves you feeling like, why did I watch this? So I started out hoping that this was going to be one of those century films that are actually fairly good. I ended up with, I'm not sure I'll ever go back to this. It feels like a throwaway film. I think this will be for a few select people that really love this type of genre and niched film, but for me, I'm going to give it 2 Nicolas Cages out of 5 because it's not something that I think I'll ever watch again. I think it's a well-crafted film, but does have its issues.
I'm a policeman. See my badge?
Let me know your thoughts down below. What's been your favorite sensory film? Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Really like our community. I think we're building a good, fun, positive experience for all. At least that's what I hope to create. Even if our views differ from each other's, that's okay. As long as we keep it positive and helpful. If I find any offensive comments, that are going to be gone and blocked. I'm trying to cultivate an experience for people to come on the internet, which is unusual, I know, that is happy and good. I know that's strange. You guys rock. See you next time.